Alright, so we got the second episode of this little 3-part mini-series. We got the first one right before Ubisoft Forward last month with the Return to Roots showcase, so it seems like they're releasing these monthly. We still have one more, but while the first episode focused on mainly stealth and parkour, this one focuses on being a master assassin and what that entails for Basim. We didn't get quite as much new footage or details as we did in that Return to Roots video, I feel, but we still got some very important information when it comes to progression, customization, some story details, and combat. And again, I have to say, I do really like how Ubisoft Bordeaux is going about presenting this game with these little episodes. It exudes confidence when they're willing to show this much about the game and explain the development process, still months before it's even out. But we started with the narrative director giving us a little more detail about Mirage's story. First, she of course talked about that to be faithful to the roots of the series, the game needed to be a strong, narrative-focused experience. Not to say the more recent games weren't narrative-driven, but in those old games, the story was always at the very heart and soul of the game. It was intertwined with the rest of the game. They then talked about why they chose Baghdad as the setting, as it's one that's very reminiscent of the first AC game. Again, going back to the Middle East where it all began, which is still one of the things I'm personally most excited for with this game. Lately, Assassin's Creed has gone for the more popular, well-known time periods and eras, like Vikings, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, which is fair enough, a lot of people love those settings, but I appreciate them going for a bit of a lesser-known crevice of history. I'm not very familiar with 9th century Baghdad, so I'm very intrigued to learn more about it from this game. They also talked about focusing on the events that came to define who Basim is and why he acts the way he does in Valhalla, which is to be expected in a prequel kind of game like this. The creative director then went on to state that while this does tie into Valhalla, you can still play the game without having played Valhalla previously, but at the same time, those who have can still find references and connections to that game, which is good for those who skipped out on Valhalla because it wasn't their type of game. They can play and understand Mirage without having to worry about not understanding anything, especially when it comes to Basim's origins, which is a very important part of the character. Now, the game is set in 861 AD, 12 years before Valhalla. I imagine this will be the year once we're officially a hidden one as Basim though, as it starts with him much younger, I believe as a 17-year-old in Ambar, which is a city near Baghdad. We got a new character revealed to us, Nahal. Now, I actually noticed she was in that story trailer we got at Ubisoft Forward, but wasn't really sure what her role was. Turns out she's Basim's friend and partner in crime, who will be none too pleased about Basim leaving her to join Roshan and the Hidden Ones. She'll likely be a prominent character in the beginning, and then I'd expect her to probably show up again later in the story. I'm almost thinking about what happened with Connor and his best friend from his tribe, although hopefully that doesn't end as tragically. I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being some sort of conflict there eventually though. And the next bit of interesting news is that Basim has been haunted by visions and nightmares for as long as he can remember. So this isn't necessarily a new thing for him. It seems like he's been dealing with it all his life. Still very curious what twist they're going to put on this storyline and who exactly the jinns are that are haunting Basim. But after Basim is taken off the streets of Ambar, he is brought to Alamut to train. Like I said before, I'm very excited to see Alamut. It's such an important part of the Assassin's Creed lore, and it's been mentioned so many times, and we're finally getting to see and explore it in one of these games. Then of course, he's sent to Baghdad to track down the Order of Ancients. That's a big majority of what they discussed about the story. A lot of it we kind of already knew or could infer, but they revealed some extra important details to help fill in the blanks. Like I said before, I'm intrigued to see this story and happy to know it focuses on the rise of a hidden one. Plus, I really like Basim's character, so I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. Next, they talked about customization, where we got some really exciting news. First of all, I have to say though, the art director Jean-Luc Salah, he's he's been my favorite spokesperson for Mirage thus far. In every bit of promotional material I've seen him in, he's clearly very passionate about this game and old Assassin's Creed. Like, you can just tell he's excited about it, and everything he's been in charge of, the look of Baghdad, the lighting, Basim's robes, it looks fantastic. Him also talking about how the entire team is a massive fan of those old AC games really gives me hope. If Mirage is successful, it will be because of the care and passion from this team at Ubisoft Bordeaux, so I really hope it delivers because they seem very genuine to me. But he talked about wanting to bring back the Levantine assassin aesthetic to Basim's outfits. We got to see more concept art for Basim. I really hope these are actual outfits in the game because they look so sick, especially with those masks. But as we know, Basim will start with the apprentice outfit with the white and blue color scheme and the small beaked hood. And then you can see the clear difference when he becomes a master assassin with the new hood and the red. They even gave some lore behind some of the details on Basim's robes from Valhalla, like the red sash symbolizing the rebellion in Baghdad that Basim chose to keep all those years later. They further talked about the conflicts in the story, where Basim will have both external and internal ones. The external conflict involving the Order of Ancients and the Zanj Rebellion, while one of his internal conflicts is about struggling to choose between his roots and old life with his friend Nehal, or his destiny with Roshan and the Hidden Ones. The internal conflict is very important to an assassin's journey. Some of the games haven't focused on an internal conflict with its protagonists as much, but I think it's important to have that for the protagonists of this series, like Ezio, Arno, Bayek, Edward, etc. And again, they further touched on the fact that Basim will have his doubts about the Brotherhood and whether or not he's truly free, which we could gather from that story trailer a while back. But one of the most important bits of information we received from this episode was with the progression and skill tree. As you can see, there's 3 different categories, being Phantom, Trickster, and Predator. These all kind of fit Basim's fighting style and who he is as a hidden one. We got to see a few of the skills, including Breakfall along with Airstrike, which will allow us to throw a throwing knife in slow motion while jumping, just like how you could do in the RPG games with the bow, and Kickback, which we've seen plenty of times already and can be used after parrying an enemy. However, we do see the icons for a few other skills. Obviously, it's hard to know exactly what they are, but some things can be inferred by their icons. For example, in the Predator tree, it looks like this will focus on upgrading our Eagle and Kidu. This little icon with the 2 next to it makes me think we can actually upgrade our Eagle vision as well, or as it's called for Basim, Thieves Sense. I think this one might be Footsteps, so maybe you can actually track an enemy's route with your Eagle or even Thieves Sense. Other stealth games have systems like this too. I'm thinking of Dishonored, where you can actually see the route the enemy AI is on and where they're going to go. If that's the case, that could be really cool. This one at the bottom looks to me like some kind of special focused ability with Thieves Sense. Maybe with this you can see things from a farther distance or some kind of hidden item. Could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. Now under Trickster, I'm positive this first one is auto loot, which we already know is in the game from the gameplay walkthrough. This next one involves medicine. I mean, it could be any number of things, so not really sure what that could be. This one with the throwing knife has an arrow on it, just like what I believe is auto loot. So this actually makes me think that with this skill, you can pick up your throwing knives after throwing them. I think that makes a lot of sense, and a lot of other games have similar systems like that, whether it's with arrows or something. This looks like some kind of pickpocketing related skill. Your guesses are more than welcome in the comments. And this one at the bottom is very interesting. It has a gear icon, sort of, with the Brotherhood logo in the center. Maybe you can call other hidden ones to help you in some way with this skill, kind of like in the old games with the assassin recruits. But I don't think there are assassin recruits in this game. I feel that's something they would have talked about by now, but maybe you can get other hidden ones to aid you in some way, shape, or form. But as for the remaining ones in the Phantom tree, this one to me looks a lot like the Predator bow icon from the previous games, but we don't have a bow in this game, so perhaps it's it's related to one of the throwables. I mean, maybe you can control a throwing knife like you could with the Predator bow. I don't know though, that seems a bit odd. I kind of doubt it's that. Maybe it could be connected to a different projectile like the blow darts. I don't really know. Again, give me your best guesses in the comments. This is a collaborative effort. This one looks like the chain assassination from Valhalla, but this bottom one looks like a similar icon to the counter roll from Valhalla as well. We saw that in the gameplay trailer. Maybe it could potentially be an increase to your sprint speed possibly, with the little effect around his legs. That would be a neat skill, but it's more than likely Mirage's version of the counter roll. Either way, we got a very good feel for what the skills may be. And the best part of all this news to me is there's no XP leveling. You'll acquire skill points in a linear and story-driven fashion, as opposed to every time you level up, like it's been for the past few games. Having no leveling system is a huge win in my books. I like the progression being story-driven. That's much more in line with old AC. However, it does seem like we can actually increase our rank in the Brotherhood, which unlocks new missions, outfits, and tools. Again, sounds good. I think that's a smart way to do things. Next, we got the confirmation that the outfit dyes are returning. We already knew this, but we got a good look at what the menu looks like and all the different dyes you can get. It looks fantastic. I loved the outfit dyes in the old games, so I'm so happy that's back. The customization in this game is already looking really great. We can also see the rest of our gear. You can equip a talisman, which a lot of people speculated about after seeing one in the Prince of Persia themed outfit. There's also separate tabs for costume and outfit. This confused me a little bit, but we'll see what that's about. We can see how you can equip different swords and daggers. On the left, we see your materials displayed. On the right, it shows how many of those special tokens you have, which we know can be used to open up special opportunities in different missions and to hire the factions to help you out. And we can see your assassin rank in the top right. This Basim being an apprentice. Who knows just how many ranks there are, but I imagine the final one will be master, maybe even mentor if Basim gets to that place in this game. At the top, we can see all the different tabs, including investigations, which is for all the information we gather on our targets in Baghdad. But next, and probably the most important thing they showed, was some of the combat. Now, as we know, it's kind of a similar system to the RPG games, however with some big changes. Like for example, how you can instantly kill an enemy after parrying them, although it does seem like to get this instant kill, you have to fill up the enemy's stun bar, so it may not be a free kill every single time you get a parry. It looks like it varies based on different enemy types as well. The kill animations look really cool, and Basim's attacks look pretty quick, which is important to making the combat feel faster paced and more fluid, and also more deadly as you can kill enemies with basically a single strike. Again, that all goes to make it feel more like an old AC game. Admittedly, I was a little concerned about combat because they haven't shown much of it yet, but from the little bits and pieces we saw here, I think it looks promising. They talked about how since Basim has one primary weapon, the sword, they could put more focus into making him feel more agile and intuitive to control. And I really noticed Basim's speed when rolling away from this particular attack. That's a lot faster than what we saw from Eivor. But that about does it for all the information I gathered from this episode. Again, I think it looks great. Obviously, still need to keep those expectations in check, but we're not too far off from the game's release now. Only about 3 months away, so we'll have our hands on this game very soon. But let me know what you thought about this episode. I'd imagine we'll get the final one sometime in August if they're doing these once a month, but until then, we still have plenty to speculate about. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. A special thank you to my members for choosing to support me, and other than that, thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day, Assassins.